DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, him, her, them, and they to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mentalities, all under one umbrella, all under one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, vanilla is only good for ice cream. Now this topic is specifically for the brand builders out there, for the thought leaders, for the intellectual property sales people. You want to separate yourself from the crowd. You want to stand out with what you are offering, who you are as a person. You're building a personal brand around you. You can't be vanilla. There needs to be some flavor to what you are offering other than vanilla. Vanilla, I actually like vanilla. I don't even eat ice cream that much, but if I eat like an ice cream sandwich, what else comes with ice cream? Sometimes you go to a restaurant and you get like the prefix menu and it comes with a dessert, and the dessert includes vanilla ice cream. I'm all right, vanilla there. But when it comes to building your brand, you need something other than vanilla. Otherwise, you're not going to stand out in the marketplace. I'm going to explain exactly what that means and why that is here today. Now, before I get into that, let me tell you, I send out a daily motivation text every day. I want you to want to receive it. So since you already do, I just told you want it, all you got to do is text me at this number, 305-384-6894. The texts are free every single day. This message will keep you focused, sharp, and on point. Daily motivation text every day. And that is me who is manning those texts, so you can actually reply to those and engage with me directly at that number. Again, it's listed down below in the show notes. Now, the topic again today, vanilla only works with ice cream. Now, what exactly does it mean when you say something is vanilla? Now, vanilla is not just a flavor. There's another meaning to it. And actually, another place I like vanilla is like in the frosting of, I used to eat these cookies called vanilla wafers. It was like vanilla for vanilla wafers. I haven't eaten them in a long time, but I try to stay away from packaged goods. But vanilla wafers I used to love, and they had the vanilla frosting on the inside, and Oreos, I like Oreo cookies with the vanilla on the inside. Vanilla works when we're talking about flavor for eating some kind of food. Packaged goods, which is most of that shit is chemicals, not actually real food. But when we're talking about, again, your brand and making yourself stand out, that's the exact opposite of what you want. So the definition of vanilla in this sense is having no special or extra features, ordinary or standard. All right, so you don't want your brand to be defined like that. All right, any of you who has a brand, you want your brand to sound like that? I don't think anybody wants someone to describe you as having no special or extra features, as being nothing special, or the people to call you ordinary or to call you standard. Because at that point, you become a commodity. You're like brand X, which means you could be easily replaced with the next person who's just as ordinary as you are. So if they swap you out with somebody else or swap them out with you, would anybody notice the difference? No, nobody would. So you don't want to be vanilla when it comes to putting your brand out there in the world. And I talked about this in the past here on the show multiple times. I'm going to talk about it again today. And I guarantee you, I will talk about this again in the future, because this is a message that must be hammered into the heads of any of you who's building a brand or you want to stand out in the marketplace. Because if you can't make yourself stand out because you haven't figured out a way to differentiate yourself, or maybe with the fear of the uncertainty, like we talked about in yesterday's episode, the fear of the uncertainty of making yourself stand out is causing you to try to blend in too much. All right, this is going to be the death of you and your business, because eventually you're going to die and nobody's ever going to have noticed you in the first place. So we got to get you off this fence as quickly as possible. So let's get into it so we can stop wasting time. Point number one, topic once again is vanilla only works for ice cream and Oreos. I should add that, ice cream and Oreos. Point number one, I told you in episode 878 that the key to personal branding is personality. Once again, the key to personal branding is personality. It is not the product that you sell. It is not your price. It is not how many followers you have on social media. It is not who's your coach or what programs you are in or what books you have read, or not even how smart you are, how much knowledge you have. All of those things can contribute to your personal brand, but the key to your personal brand, the foundation of your personal brand, is your personality. The challenge for many people out there is that they have no personality. Actually, let me check that. That's not true. They have a personality, but they are not displaying or showing their personality. They're not putting their personality out front so people don't know that they have a personality, even though they do have one. The problem is time is going to go by and opportunities are going to pass and customers are going to go buy from somebody else when they should have been coming to you simply because you have not made a display of your personality. Bland, being vanilla, does not work when there are many options out there in your space. And understand, there are many options out there in your space. And just to make sure everyone understands something here, when it comes to selling any kind of product, whether you're a personal brand or maybe you're just building a business and nobody even knows who you are, you don't have your face on the product, understand that you want to be in a space where there's plenty of competition. Yes, you want to be in a space where there's a lot of competition. Why? Because if there are people who are already out there selling things on topic X, that means that there are also customers out there buying things on topic X. You don't want to jump into a market where nobody knows that there's even a need for this product, that this industry doesn't even exist, because then you would have to create the industry. And for you to create an industry takes a whole lot of resources, time, money, attention, energy, focus, and it doesn't even mean it's going to be successful. So you're much better off jumping into a pool that already exists, where there's plenty of money being exchanged so that you know the money's there. Now your job is just to carve out a piece of it for yourself. And how you do that is by differentiating yourself. One of those ways is through your personality. So if you jump into a space like, let's say you want to get into the motivational space. All right, is there plenty of people who are selling motivation these days? Absolutely. But what does that tell you? That tells you that there are plenty of people who are buying motivation, which means there is money there. There is opportunity in motivation. Just because there are 1,000 people doing it does not mean you can't be 1,001. And when you carve out your space, your niche, through your personality, you can get a significant amount of that money. All right, so this is not a bad thing to have competition. The thing is, though, you have to figure out a way that you will differentiate yourself so that people can look into the motivational space and see the 1,000 other people talking about it and have a reason to notice you. What is that reason? One of those ways you do that is through your personality. But if you're not putting it out there, then nobody will ever know. Bland does not work when there are many options. And again, there are many options. People will come to know and remember you based on your flavor. And unlike with ice cream, nobody when it comes to looking at brands has an affinity for vanilla. The definition of flavor is the distinctive taste of something, of a food or a drink. And in this sense, we're talking about a person or a brand or an approach. What is a distinctive taste of what you do? And I'll tell you a way that you can answer this question. When you talk to people who are in your audience, people who have already purchased from you, people who are already connected to your stuff, they like your posts on social media, they read your articles, they comment when you write something, ask those people, ask several of them, as many of them as you can, as a matter of fact. Ask them the following question. When you know that I'm putting something out, when you know that I'm writing an article, when you know that I'm making a video, and when you tune into my podcast or you fire up my YouTube or something that I posted or something that I said, you know I'm about to talk about something. You might not even know exactly what I'm going to talk about or exactly what angle I'm going to take, but you know it's me. What are you going to get from me that you can't get from somebody else? And you can even add in this. This is something that I ask people in my own audience. Some of you who are listening to this, I've asked you this question. I'm not the only person in the world to ever talk about mindset. I'm not the only person in the world to talk about business and branding. I did not invent any of these topics. There are a bunch of people talking about these same topics that I talk about. So why listen to me? Why get it from me? What are you going to get from me that you're not going to get from 100 other people who are talking about this exact same subject? And when you ask that question, and listen, you're not giving anything away when you tell people that. You're not going to say, oh my God, I didn't know you were the only one in the world. I didn't know you weren't the only one in the world talking about this. Let me go listen to those other 100 and you're going to lose your audience member. That's not going to happen. So if you have that fear, extinguish the thought. What's going to happen, on the other hand, though, is they're going to tell you, usually they're going to tell you some things about your approach. They're going to tell you some things about your personality, about your style, about your flavor that makes you different from everybody else, even though you're not the only one talking about the topic and you probably did not even invent the subject. And that's what happens. And people will tell me exactly, these are the things about your personality, Dre, about the way that you share things, about the way that you break things down, about the way that you talk about your approach. These are the things that I appreciate about you, even though, again, they don't say this, but even though I know, they could hear somebody else talking about the subject, but they don't hear anyone talking about it the way that I talk about it. That's the flavor. That's the thing that can differentiate you in a space where there is a lot of competition. So the question for you to answer, and you answer this through your actions and the way you market yourself, what is distinctive about you and your message and your approach? If you do not know the answer, The smart money says nobody else knows the answer either. And that is that's a 3-alarm emergency problem. If you don't know what differentiates you, and I guarantee you, if you don't know, nobody else knows. Because if you don't know, that means you're probably not doing it, and you're not leaning on it, meaning you're not using it over and over again. So nobody else is going to notice, and they're just going to move on to the next person. Because again, vanilla only works with ice cream. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, as I just said, vanilla only works with ice cream and Oreo cookies. The challenge that many people have, and this is the biggest challenge right here, they are trying to play the middle. They're trying to play the middle of the field. They're trying to be a face in the crowd. They don't want to go too far in any direction on any subject. They don't want to have too strong of an opinion on any topic so that they may not offend anybody. Now, some of you who are listening right now, this is your problem. You have good stuff to share. You're smart, you're knowledgeable, you are experienced. You even have a track record of people who you have helped who would easily and quickly co-sign for you. The problem is you cannot expand the reach of your message simply because you are trying too hard to not offend anybody. You're trying too hard to play the middle of the field. You're trying too hard to just blend in. In other words, you are trying to be vanilla. You are succeeding at being vanilla. And in succeeding at being vanilla, you are also succeeding in being ignored. This is the biggest challenge that many of you have. I talked in episode 1364 on the concept of rejection marketing. If you did not listen to it, it is linked down below. You want to reject some people away from you. I know for a fact, I got the comments and the emails and everything, that there are some people, when I talked about my lack of affinity for social justice warriors and wokeness and Black Lives Matter and a whole bunch of social stuff that happened over the last 2 years, I know that there are some people who were rejection marketed away from me because I said those things. But I also know that for every one of those people who are rejection marketed away from me, I attracted 10 people into me. And those 10 people that I attracted into me, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Dre, those 10 people would have still followed you had you not rejected the other 1 person or 10 people or 20 people away, right? The answer is yes. However, here's the caveat. Those 10 people who were attracted more towards me because I said those things, they went deeper into following what I do. They went deeper into my world when they heard me say that, because they know that I know unconsciously or consciously that I didn't have to say that, but I chose to. And being willing to say things that I know is going to push some people away will bring other people in even further, because they're like, wow, this guy or this girl actually had the balls to say that out loud. Something that I've been thinking. This is your audience member thinking this. They're not the one creating the content. You are. They're thinking, damn, I've been thinking that. I believe that. That's what we talk about in my house. But nobody's saying it out loud. Nobody wants to say it out loud because nobody wants to offend anybody. But damn, he got on a microphone and said it. She got on YouTube and said it. He got on Instagram and posted that. I'm really in on this person because they had the nuts to say it out loud. So there's levels to how deeply somebody can go into your world. There are people who follow you on social media and they like your stuff every now and then and they think you're cool and all that. Then you have people who are a level deeper than that. Then you have people who are a level deeper than that. Then you go deeper and deeper. There are levels to people being in your world. People could be in your world and that they just follow you. They might even forget that they following you. They haven't seen one of your posts in years, but they just been subscribed to you for a long time. Then you got people who are fanatics. They got the notifications on everything you post, everything you do. They're the first one to look at it and often the first one to buy something. All right, there are levels to it, and there's a bunch of levels in between that. So understand, when you say something or do something that may polarize the audience, then people are going to pick sides. And the people who pick your side they go deeper. They go to a deeper level of being in on you than they were before you did it. And here's something else that I got to add in, because I remember saying this to somebody who, I don't know if this person's listening right now, but I remember saying this to somebody and I said, listen, the stuff that you're putting out is a little bit too bland. It's fine what you're saying. Everything you're saying is fine. It's useful, I suppose, but it's so bland. There's no opinion in it. There's no flavor in it. It looks like a computer program could have written it. There's no personality in what you're saying. And I urged this person, I said, you need to put some personality into what you're sharing so that somebody can look at it and say, I know that person X wrote that. If you read an article that I wrote, you'll know that I wrote it even if I don't put my name on it. If somebody copy pasted one of my articles and posted it as one of theirs, somebody who has read one of my articles will read that and say, that sounds like something Dre wrote, even though my name's not on it. Your material should sound like that. Whether it's audio, video, written, whatever it is, it should have so much of your DNA in it, so much of your flavor in it, that even if we took your name off it, we would know it was yours. And I said this to this person. I said, listen, if I took your name off of this thing that you wrote, or this video that you made, or this post that you posted, and I put somebody else's name on it, nobody would know that they got it from you, because this is so bland, it sounds like anybody could have said it. And I was saying this as a constructive criticism to this person, that they needed to put some flavor into their material. And this person responded to me by saying, hey, I understand what you're saying. I thank you for the feedback, but I'm in this field that seems to be growing, and there's opportunity in this field. So, I want to kind of try to ride this wave, and I don't want to say anything controversial just for the sake of drawing attention. Now, and that was all that they said. And I didn't go back and forth with this person. But the thing is this, a few things. Now, from what I already told you here in today's episode, first of all, when there's a lot of competition, a lot of people talking about the same thing in a certain field, the last thing that you want to do is try to blend in just because you feel like it's a big field and it's a growing field. Yes, you can blend in, and you can succeed at blending in. I just said this. You can succeed at blending in. The problem is you also succeed at being ignored. Nobody's going to know who you are. And even if people do know who you are, even if you get some opportunities to come to you, because you haven't offended anybody yet, because you haven't rejection marketed anyone away from you yet, all right, ask yourself, all right, how far can you go potentially with your business in the space that you're in right now? All right, the people who bring you in because you're vanilla, all right, they'll get rid of you for the same reason. The people who you got opportunities because you're vanilla and because you are blending in with the crowd, all right, you'll also be ignored for the exact same reason that you got that opportunity. So one of the downsides of someone getting an opportunity when they are not showing any personality is that they start to think that not showing the personality is the reason that they got the opportunity, when it's absolutely not. All right, that's not the reason you got it. There's a reason you got it, but that ain't it. And the longer it takes you to show your personality, the longer it's going to take you to turn this thing over into some real opportunities for yourself. And hopefully this person will come back to me, and maybe they're listening right now, but hopefully this person will come back to me and we can help them put their personality into it. It's not like they don't have personality. Every human has personality. The challenge for many of us, again, goes back to yesterday's episode, is the uncertainty of, if I share it, how are people going to think? What are people going to say? The problem with being vanilla is that you become fungible. If you know what the word fungible means, it means able to replace or be replaced by another identical item, mutually interchangeable. You don't want to be this. These are commodities. You don't want to be a commodity with your personal brand. You want to be a commodity with your business, because if someone can easily replace you with something else, then how solid is your business? How solid of a ground is your business built on? Your business is built on sand if you're fungible. You don't want to be fungible in any marketplace. Fungible assets are either in a race to the bottom, meaning everybody has to keep lowering their price, because since neither of you can differentiate from the other, the only option you have is to have a lower price than somebody else. The problem with having low prices is that you can't make any money. So you're either in a race to the bottom, or you're completely out of the game because you can't sustain that position, because you can't differentiate yourself. You can't even charge a higher price because you don't offer anything unique. You see how this works? So what flavor do you offer that people have to come to you to get? That's a question you must answer. What can people get from you that they can't get from anywhere else? What angle do you bring to the table that nobody else is bringing in the marketplace, or at least very few are bringing in the marketplace? How can you differentiate yourself? Can you make a statement like that and actually be telling the truth? And can you prove it? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is vanilla only works with ice cream and Oreos. When you are vanilla, meaning plain, not offensive, you're nice, but you are also forgettable. Listen, you may be appreciated. You will be appreciated. The problem is you're not needed. And there's a difference between being appreciated and being needed. This is a Machiavellian type of way of looking at things, but this is the way the world works. Robert Greene talked about this in my favorite book, his first book, The 48 Laws of Power. I forget which chapter it was, but one of the things he said was make people dependent on you. And that's a source of power, is making people dependent on you. And dependent doesn't mean that you are holding something over their head or anything like that. Dependent can be simply you have an approach. You have a flavor that is so unique that the only place people can get that approach is by coming to you. That makes them dependent on you. If they want that approach, they have to come to you. That is a way to make people dependent on you. But if your approach is so vanilla and so plain that we can get the same thing that you offer from 1,000 other people, then nobody's dependent on you. Therefore, you have no power, because if you go away, nobody's even going to notice. So you want to make sure that you're needed in the marketplace. When you're needed, you can name your price. When you're needed, you have power. When you're needed, you have control. When you are needed, you can call the shots. But when you are not needed, when you are easily replaced, you may be appreciated. People might appreciate your presence, but they don't need your presence. And understand there's a huge difference between the two. A big space between appreciation and need. When you are not distinctive, your position is tenuous, meaning someone else can step into your spot. Again, nobody would even notice that you're gone. So you know the saying where they say stand for something or fall for anything? Everybody's heard that before? Well, for you in the marketplace, it's have a flavor or be forgotten. Now, it not as sexy, but we'll work with it. Have a flavor or be forgotten. What flavor are you? And vanilla does not count in this sense. Let's recap today's class, which is vanilla only works for ice cream and Oreo cookies, I'll add. Definition of vanilla means having no special or extra features, ordinary or standard. Point number 1. Told you in episode 878 that the key to personal branding is having personality or showing personality. Bland does not work when there are many options, and there are always many options. So you need a flavor that people can remember you by. Your flavor means your distinctive taste. What do you bring that is unique from everybody else? If you don't know, good chance nobody else knows either. Point number 2. The challenge many people have is they're trying to play the middle and not reject anyone out of their audience because of the uncertainty that comes with the possibility of sharing an opinion that could possibly piss people off. But let me tell you, on the contrary, you want to share opinions that could possibly piss people off, not for the purpose of pissing them off, but because it's actually your opinion, and there are other people who will agree with your opinion. They will go deeper into your world when they know that you had the balls to say it, but they will never go beneath the surface if all you're doing is trying to appease everybody and not piss anybody off or not rock the boat at all. You are very easily replaced. You are fungible. You don't want to be fungible in the marketplace, meaning able to replace or be replaced by another identical item, mutually interchangeable. All right, fungible brands, all right, don't last long in the marketplace because they can't charge any kind of money because nobody even knows who the hell they are. All right, your brand makes money when people know your brand and they come looking for it specifically for you. Point number 3, when you're vanilla, plain, not offensive, nice but forgettable, you may be appreciated, but you are not needed. And understand there is a huge gap between being appreciated and being needed. When you are not distinctive, your position is easily destroyed. Somebody else can step in, nobody would even notice. The saying goes, stand for something or fall for anything. In this sense, the saying is, have a flavor or be forgotten. Send me a text. Get my daily motivation text I send you every day straight to your phone. Keep you focused, sharp, and on point. My number is 305-384-6894. And my group coaching program, the Bulletproof Mastermind. Every week I'm doing a live training. Just recently did a training on who, then what, getting the right people on your team and figuring out who you are as a person and figuring out who your target client is, then figuring out what you're going to do. Whereas a lot of people have been doing that backwards. Recently, we talked about how to deal with overwhelm. In the future, we're doing trainings on selling, we're doing trainings on communication, we're doing trainings on building your teams. All of that's happening every week live in the Bulletproof Mastermind, and we have a members-only community where you can see me work through helping people put their frameworks together so that you actually know what you're selling, who you're selling it to. Let's back up. Who you're selling it to, what you're selling, and why they would actually want it. All that's happening in the Bulletproof Mastermind, my group coaching program. If you are interested in joining, what you can do right now, just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, click the button for the Bulletproof Mastermind. You can join right there on that page. You can be on our next live call this weekend. Work on your game. Dre all day.